Welcome to another round of Prem and Proper here at SDH, where we take you through the sprint that is the Premier League as we get you ready for the World Cup and all of the associated elements with that. We'll even kind of delve into Champions League a little bit and get you squared away toward the tail end of Match Week 6 and where everybody's going to be. Is it knockouts? Is it Europa? Or is it home? But let's go over the last week in the Premier League. 8 matches on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. And in that stacked world, Manchester City, all they needed to do was get one. That's what they got against Leicester. 1-0 win there at a minus 244 at the King Power. Newcastle and Aston Villa. Newcastle really pouring it on against Aston Villa as they still wait for Unai Emery and his staff to take the touchline. Newcastle with goals from someone close to the SDH universe. Miguel Almiron got his another tally added to his stacks. 4-0 win for Newcastle as they continue to rocket up the table, and they are in European positions if the season were to end today. Callum Wilson was asked about what's been going on with Newcastle in the season so far. Here's his answer, courtesy of our friends at Sky Sports and the Premier League.
It took a while for obvious reasons for that game to get going, but you certainly got it going.
Exactly that. I think once you have an opportunity to break the deadlock, then the game changes. Still have to score the penalty nevertheless, but once it went in, they had to come out, start playing football against us, and it started to suit us in our favour.
You couldn't have come much closer to a hat-trick, could you?
Frustrating, but you take the positives. 2 goals and assists, you'll have that today, but when you hit the crossbar and you have a shot on goal, which rebounds and we score from, you're just a little bit frustrated you didn't get the third. But look at the bigger picture and hopefully get the goals next week that I didn't get today.
Were you aware that Gareth Southgate was watching here today?
No, I wasn't. You concentrate on your Newcastle performances. Yes, I'd love to go to the World Cup. I've been asked that many times, and my motivation is clear. But at the end of the day, I have to do my talking on a football field, and that's what I'm trying to do at the moment.
What's it like playing in this team at the moment?
Unbelievable. You go out there, you have full confidence in your team. You always feel like you're going to get an opportunity at goal, and then it's just about being clinical and taking that. And we're playing free-flowing football at the minute, and long may it continue. I
know you've all got your feet on the ground, but there's a few around the city who might not be doing that.
Yeah, exactly, and rightly so. The fans dream big, and so do we as players. But we also have to be, humble within that and take one game at a time, and like you say, keep our feet on the ground.
Crystal Palace got the one goal that they needed to beat Southampton at a plus 106. Brighton's the shocking result of the weekend. Big win for Roberto De Zerbi, knocking off Chelsea by the score of 4-1. Brentford and Wolves a 1-1 draw at a plus 246. Spurs winning 3-2 at Bournemouth at the Vitality at a minus 133. We'll have more on Spurs coming up in just a little bit. Fulham and Everton at a goalless draw at a plus 244, and Leeds, the shocker of the weekend, knocking off Liverpool with the latest of late goals to get the 2-1 win. Big win for Jesse Marsch at a plus 1074. That got you through your Saturday. On Sunday, Arsenal had a 1-0 lead at the half against Nottingham Forest. They end up with a 5-0 win at a minus 435. Then leading into the final match of the weekend, Manchester United and West Ham, Erik ten Hag was asked what it's like to have Harry Maguire back as a part of his lineup, once again, courtesy of our friends at Sky.
Big night last night for your captain as well, in Harry Maguire, got 45 minutes of action. How do you feel he did, and do you feel he can still make a big impact ahead of the World Cup and get enough game time so that he's ready for the World Cup for England?
Yeah, we have 5 games to go. So in a short period, so we need everyone. That's obvious, but I'm really happy Harry is back from his injury, and now he has to fight his position back in the team. And so I was really happy to give him the minutes yesterday, and he did well. So he will compete for those positions in the team, and we have to win all the games. So I'm happy he's available, he's ready, and prepared to get in the team and prepared to win games.
And then before the match, leading into it, Declan Rice charged the table, as some folks are wont to do, leading into the programming for Sky Sports, and he was asked about what it's like to try to make an impression for West Ham against this Manchester United side at Old Trafford. Here's his interview with everybody at the table right there pitch side.
Good afternoon. You good?
Good to see you, Declan. Thank you for coming in. What's it like playing here? Is it intimidating? Is it inspiring for someone like you?
Yeah, inspiring for sure. It's Old Trafford. You think of the heritage, the big games that have been here, the top players that have played here. You know, you want to come here as a player and stamp your mark, stamp your authority, and hope, one, get a win, and two, play well yourself.
Declan, quick one on your responsibility at the club. Mark Noble, your big mate, isn't here anymore. How have you found that as running the dressing room, the captaincy? Is it different?
Yeah, it's very different. You're having to deal with a lot more different things now. You know, you're having to deal with top people at the club, have more conversations, have a closer relationship with a manager. But look, I'm so young, and you know, it's something I'm really enjoying.
Is there a player in Manchester United's midfield which you'll be looking to get close to today, specifically on your side? Is there someone you've been tasked with marking?
Yeah, I think every time we play against United, Bruno's the one that I need to try and look after. You know, he picks up good pockets, good spaces, always wanting to take the ball. But also, we need to get around their midfield as a free. You know, they've been performing really well recently, so it's going to be a tough match-up.
Just before you go, do you think, Declan, that the team just needs one big result really to get the season going?
Yeah, without a doubt. It's been coming. We've been unlucky this year, especially against Liverpool last week. You know, we were so close to coming away from something from the game. You know, every time we've come here, we've been really close. So today, we're looking to come here and get 3 points, which would be massive for us.
We wish you well. Go and get yourself warmed up.
Good luck, mate.
Maybe we'll speak to you later. Thank you very much too.
But the end result was Manchester United's winning 1-0 at a minus 139. 10 matches in very short order, 8 on Saturday, 2 on last Sunday. So that brings us into the standings and how things are. Arsenal with the big win. They are the first team in double-digit wins in the Premier League this year. It took them 12 matches to do it. At 10-1-1, they're at 31 points, ahead of Manchester City. Both of those teams have played only 12 matches. They're at 29 points, Manchester City are. Tottenham is third at 13 matches played. They have 26 points. They snapped the 2-game losing streak with the result last time out. Newcastle, we caught up with Callum Wilson. You heard that interview. Unbeaten in their last 5. They are 6-6-1 at 24 points in 13 matches played. Manchester United, after 12 matches, they're unbeaten in their last 5. They're at 23 points. Chelsea is at 21 points. Had a 4-match unbeaten string snapped with the loss to Brighton. Fulham is in 7th at 19 points, unbeaten in their last 4. Brighton has hit every column in the last 3 with a win, a loss, and a draw, 12 matches and 18 points. 16 points for Liverpool in 12 matches. They've lost 2 in a row. Crystal Palace at 16 points also. 4s across the board in their first 12 matches. They're at a goal difference of -3. Brentford is at 15 points in 11th place. And they have only lost once in their last 4. They've only won once in their last 4 as well. Everton, 14 points in 13th place, unbeaten in their last 2. West Ham, 7 losses in their first 13 matches on the season. They are at 14 points. Bournemouth is in 14th place with 13 points after the initial bounce after the firing of Scott Parker. They have now lost 3 in a row. They're at 3, 4, and 6, 13 points, 13 matches played. Leeds snapped that 4-game losing streak with the big win over Liverpool. They're at 12 points in 15th place, not out of the danger zone by any stretch, but big boost to Leeds going forward. Aston Villa's lost 3 of 4. That included the sacking of Steven Gerrard. They're at 12 points, goal difference of -9. Same record for Southampton. Across the board, 13 matches, 3, 3, and 7. Goal difference, goals scored, goals allowed. Everything's the same right now when it comes to Villa and Southampton at 12 points. Leicester, Wolves, Nottingham Forest. That's your relegation zone. Leicester had their 3-game unbeaten string snapped with the loss last time out. They're at 11 points. Wolves have only won once in their last 5 at 2, 4, and 7. They are at 10 points. They have only scored 6 goals so far this season. Nottingham Forest has scored 8, but they've given up 28 in 13 matches. With Dean Henderson in net, it could have been a lot worse if it was someone other than Dean Henderson there for Nottingham Forest. 9 points, last place right now, and the word is that Marinakis, the owner, might invest another 50 to 100 million pounds in the club to try to keep them up this season in the January window. So we'll keep an eye on that going forward. Before we get into the activity coming up this weekend, Jurgen Klopp was asked, as we kind of delve into Champions League here just a little bit, Jurgen Klopp was asked by reporters leading into their Champions League play in the midweek if the team was lacking fight this year. It's a long exchange, but it's an important exchange with Jurgen Klopp and the asker of the question. It's about 3.5 minutes, but it's worth your time. Here's Jurgen Klopp, once again, courtesy of Liverpool, their own selves, and the Champions League.
Hi, Jurgen. You said earlier that the Leeds goal had you waking up at night. Is that a regular thing for you? Is it a common thing for you? Have you had a few this season? Wake up in the night thinking about
No, I'm 55. I go a couple of times per night on the toilet. So that's why I wake up usually. But this time, the goal was in my mind, yeah.
Just on tomorrow night's performance, what's the most important thing you want to see from the performance tomorrow?
After all the things I answered now, you ask me that question, Carl. Fight. Do you think I want to see now that we start passing around them back heels and bicycle kicks and these kind of things? Of course not. We have to work and we will. For that we have to make sure that the boys we line up are ready to do that, and then we will do it, and then we will see what we get for it. The problem is Napoli will fight as well. But that's fine. That's Champions League competition, highest level. How I said, really a team in top form in the moment. Whoever they line up, they can make changes. Each striker scores and all these kind of things. That's their situation. We had that situation as well from time to time. So I'm not jealous or whatever. It's fine, well deserved. But we have to be the opponent they don't want to face. But in the moment, I think the mood in the Napoli camp is pretty good, rightly so. They think, okay, let's give them the next knock, and we have to fight against that.
I knew you would say fight, by the way, but I just wondered how easy it is to switch that on, because there have been some performances where that fight hasn't been there. So how do you ensure that fight is there?
Which performances where we didn't fight?
Forest, maybe?
That's, again, our life. It's completely what you're all right and I'm wrong. That's how it is. But to say we didn't fight against Forest is actually, still not right. Because you lose a game, and that's how it is. You lose a game, and then people tell you didn't try hard enough. You can fight obviously in a different way. Against Forest, we ran against the wall, a deep defending wall, and conceded a completely unnecessary goal. And yes, we could have played better, we could have done a lot of things better, but the boys fight. And this is not a game where you now can outrun the opponent because you have the ball all the time and run against the wall. So that's a different thing. The fight is there. Do we do it always with 100%? For that you need the full conviction about what you're doing as well, and you need the full physical ability to do that. So let me say it like this, the fighting spirit is not our problem. This moment, that's there. This group in that aspect didn't change and will not change. It's like the guy didn't change, but all of a sudden everybody thinks you're not trying hard enough, don't do this hard enough and do that hard enough. That's the life we live, not since yesterday. That's completely normal. How I said, I don't expect you to think more about our situation than I do. Don't think that would be possible anyway. But you come here and ask a few questions and more or less happy with the answers, that's fine. But my life around is actually the job. I used to say that press conferences are like holiday. I cannot say that anymore because facing your questions is, when you lose, is really tough. 8 interviews after a game you lose, and when you still have not sorted everything, what you think about it is a real torture. But again, that's part of the job. And I had another look in my wage slip, and that's what I'm paid for. So, and pretty good as well. So, it's okay. You can criticize, absolutely right. We have to work.
Pep Guardiola getting ready for their time, Manchester City's time, one last match against Sevilla. And right now, Erling Haaland has not been a part and parcel to the last match. And so would it be 2 in a row with Erling Haaland on the bench? Here's Pep Guardiola with a short answer and a very direct one.
You said on Saturday that Erling had ligament damage and that he was feeling better. Have you had any evolution, any news on his situation and his injury?
Feels better.
Still feels better?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Comparing Saturday and Sunday, even Monday, every day feels better, but still is not 100%. We don't want to take a risk. It's no sense. Hopefully we can have him against Fulham.
So he doesn't train with the team at the moment?
No.
Okay, thank you.
So the idea, hopefully, is to have Holland ready for the weekend fixtures. We'll get into the juice boxes there coming up in just a little bit. Eric Dyer, we mentioned Spurs and what has been going on with Spurs. Crazy group all the way down to the last, and Spurs make it to the knockouts with their result. So Eric Dyer was asked about a crazy day that wrapped up the group stage as Spurs get ready for knockouts with their 3-2 win.
Yeah, I think a bit of a game of two halves. I think obviously we were poor in the first half. Hugo made a few great saves. We were defending a bit too deep and we couldn't really get out of there. And then in possession we didn't have as much of the ball as we would like. But obviously we come here knowing that we were defending a result that would take us through. So obviously there's that psychology to fight against. But after they scored, I think we were a lot better, and we knew we had to get the goal. And obviously, lots of things happened in the first half. Sonny went off. We changed formation. So I think at half time we managed to organise ourselves a bit better. And second half, I thought we played very well. Created many chances. Obviously, got the goal, and then we could have scored many in transition after that.
It did feel like a lot was going against you in that first half in an atmosphere like this. So what was the key to that change at half-time?
No, I think there wasn't a change. I think we just got us a chance to organise ourselves. Obviously, Sonny came off, we brought out a midfielder. Obviously changed system a little bit. So it was just making that more clear, which is difficult to do in the middle of the game. And then not only tactically, I think we needed to improve in every way, really, to play better with the ball, to have a bit more aggression. Without the ball, to be a bit more on the front foot, and so there were many aspects that we needed to improve, and I think we did that.
Correction, the win was a 2-1 win for Spurs, and it was at the death, but big win for Spurs moving on to the knockouts. So you come out of Champions League, which means you head right into your next round of Premier League matches, either match 13 or match 14, depending on who you're talking about. And once again, it is on your Saturday and Sunday, 5 and 5. Here's your rundown of the matches themselves as you run into the activity that is going to be going on in England on the weekend, as everything is racing toward the notion of the World Cup in only 23 weeks' time. Leeds and Bournemouth, you have 4 matches at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Remember, one more week before the United States changes over into fall back before the times reset. But you have 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Leeds, a favorite at home against Bournemouth, could use another 3 points to go up the table there at a minus 132. Manchester City, understood, a big favorite against Fulham at a minus 714. Just for information purposes only, Fulham is north of plus 1,800 for the win. Nottingham Forest and Brentford, interesting matchup there at City Ground. Nottingham Forest a plus 175, Brentford a plus 161. Wolves needs points. They're in the relegation zone. They are a home underdog to Brighton. De Zerbi and the goals come to the Molineux at a plus 119. Everton and Leicester is your late game at 1:30 Eastern Time. Everton's a plus 144, and Leicester is a plus 200. On Sunday, 5 matches once again, 7, 9, and 11:30. Your early match, Chelsea and Arsenal. And right now, Chelsea is a slight home favorite against Arsenal as they head to Stamford Bridge. Chelsea's a plus 164. Arsenal is a plus 173 in the composite. 3 matches at 9 o'clock. Villa hosting Manchester United. Manchester United's a plus 106. Southampton hosting Newcastle. Newcastle on the road at St. Mary's is a minus 108. West Ham and Crystal Palace. West Ham is a favorite at a minus 106 as Crystal Palace comes to town north of plus 300. Your late match on your Sunday is at 11:30, Tottenham and Liverpool. So you've got to start up early with Chelsea and Arsenal. You end it late before your NFL kickoffs with Tottenham and Liverpool. Liverpool right now currently is a plus 123 heading to Spurs Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur is a plus 208, and your draw is a plus 278. So that's your rundown of everything going on in the Premier League. Once again, you've got folks in decision days and last group stage days figuring out if they're going to go to knockouts in Champions League, if they're going to go to Europa League, or if they're coming home. And then it's your quick turnaround for action on Saturday and Sunday as the sprint to the World Cup continues. And Spurs obviously keeping an eye on the Heung-min Son injury situation, injured and had to be pulled from their match on their last group stage day. And it's only 23 days at the time of the injury to the beginning of the World Cup, so they'll keep an eye on Heung-min Son and his injury going forward. So that is your look at everything going on in the Premier League. It's another round of Prem and Proper. So once again, thanks for hanging out with us here at SDH. We'll be back again next week with another go-round for match week 13 and 14 for your favorite clubs in England in the top division. For everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Play safe, everybody. Enjoy the games of the Premier League.